Imagine a man so full of mercy that even the smallest act of kindness, like sparing the sleep of a cat, became a lesson for the world. In Islamic tradition, this man is none other than the Prophet Muhammad, whose deep compassion wasn't limited to grand gestures or human affairs. It extended gently, deliberately to animals, and among them, cats held a remarkably honored place. He didn't just tolerate their presence, he embraced them as part of the natural harmony of life. One of the most treasured stories that echo through time is of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his beloved cat, Mu'ezzah. On one occasion, as he rose to answer the call of prayer, he discovered Mu'ezzah sleeping peacefully on the sleeve of his robe. Rather than disturb her slumber, he quietly reached for a blade and cut the sleeve, leaving her undisturbed. It wasn't a dramatic moment, it was a silent, almost invisible act of mercy. But that single gesture has become a symbol passed down through centuries, showing us that compassion doesn't need to be loud to be eternal. This love wasn't an isolated instance. The Prophet's home was a place of tranquility, where cats roamed freely, welcomed as fellow inhabitants. They were not treated as mere animals, nor accessories to domestic life. They were honored beings with rights, personalities, and even names. Cats, in his presence, were respected, sheltered, and loved. Their freedom was never restricted. Their comfort was never disregarded. In a time when many cultures saw animals as tools or burdens, Islam, through the Prophet's example, elevated the status of the cat to one of spiritual significance. His attitude toward them wasn't born of superstition or convenience. It was rooted in divine ethics, drawn from a heart shaped by revelation and immersed in mercy. His companions learned by watching him. They observed how he gently stroked their fur, how he made space for them, how he never responded to their presence with annoyance. And through his behavior, a powerful message was delivered. That true piety is revealed not only in prayer or fasting, but also in how we treat those who cannot speak, who ask for nothing, yet give us so much in return. This prophetic mercy transformed generations. In Muslim societies across centuries, cats were fed, sheltered, and allowed to roam in homes, markets, and even mosques. They were never seen as unclean or burdensome. Instead, they were loved, spoken to softly, and treated with a dignity that many humans were denied in other parts of the world. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was once asked whether animals would be part of divine judgment. He confirmed that justice would be served, even between a hornless and horned goat. What then of cats? Creatures he cherished, creatures he honored, not because of myth or folklore, but because mercy demands we treat the voiceless with grace. It is this thread of gentle reverence spun through his life that continues to shape Muslim hearts to this day. And the presence of a cat in a believer's home, still and silent, is a living reminder of the mercy that once walked the earth in human form, teaching that every life, no matter how small, deserves compassion. In Islam, faith is not just what you believe, it's what you do, and cleanliness is half of it. The Prophet Muhammad emphasized this principle so consistently that it became woven into every act of worship, every aspect of daily life. From the way Muslims prepare for prayer to how they maintain their homes, cleanliness is not just hygiene, it is devotion. And within this framework of purity, one creature is quietly exalted, the cat. While many animals in religious law are subject to rules of ritual impurity, cats are set apart. They are considered clean, not only in the physical sense, but in a way that aligns with spiritual clarity. Their presence doesn't interfere with acts of worship. On the contrary, their calm, composed demeanor often complements the sacred atmosphere of a prayerful home. The Prophet himself demonstrated this through his actions. On one occasion, He was offered water to perform ablution, and it had been touched by a cat. He used it without hesitation, teaching his companions that this animal, by its nature, does not defile. This was not merely a personal opinion, it was prophetic endorsement, rooted in divine wisdom. Unlike other animals, cats do not scavenge filth. They are instinctively drawn to cleanliness, constantly grooming themselves with almost ritualistic diligence. Islam doesn't glorify this out of sentiment. It recognizes it as a sign of alignment with a deeper divine order. Cats clean not because they understand Islamic rulings, but because their nature resonates with the very values that Muslims are taught to embody. And so, a bond is formed, not just emotional, but spiritual. In homes across the Muslim world, you'll find cats moving freely, sitting near prayer mats, basking in sunlight, and curling up peacefully in corners. They are never shooed away from sacred spaces. In many mosques, they are allowed to sit quietly, even during prayer. And not just because they are harmless, but because they are seen as spiritually compatible with the purity required in such places. In a world where certain animals are fenced out of holy spaces, cats are invited in, not through words, but through open doors and open hearts. Their presence becomes a blessing, their stillness a part of the sanctuary. The connection between cats and Islamic purity is more than symbolic. It is lived, practiced, and deeply felt. Their natural hygiene makes them a source of serenity in the home. They neither disturb nor demand. Instead, they observe with quiet eyes and move with grace. And those who care for them are rewarded, not only with affection, but with a sense of peace that lingers long after the day has passed. The Prophet taught that animals are not to be mistreated or neglected. He encouraged the feeding of cats, the provision of water, and ensuring their comfort. These were not optional acts, they were marks of righteousness. A house that welcomes a cat is, in many ways, welcoming a reflection of divine purity. And in the still moments, when the world grows loud and chaotic, the gentle presence of a cat reminds us that some of God's signs arrive on silent pause, with hearts beating in perfect rhythm to the call of fitra, the natural, pure state of being. There is something about the gaze of a cat that seems to pierce the veil of the unseen. Anyone who has ever watched a cat fixate on a corner of the room where nothing visible moves, or sit in complete stillness while staring into what appears to be empty space, knows this feeling. That quiet, haunting sense that the cat is aware of something beyond human perception. In Islam, belief in the unseen is a foundational truth. It's part of faith to acknowledge what cannot be seen, the presence of angels, the existence of jinn, the reality of barzakh, the realm between death and resurrection. Cats, with their silent demeanor and mysterious behavior, have long been seen as creatures that exist close to this border between the visible and the hidden. They are neither loud nor needy. They observe. They move when necessary. They respond to silence with stillness and often appear calm in moments of spiritual presence, as if tuned to an entirely different frequency. Many Muslims have shared stories through generations, anecdotes passed down through families, of cats behaving strangely in moments of spiritual intensity. A cat who meows suddenly during the recitation of the Qur'an. A cat who avoids certain rooms without explanation. A cat who stares into the darkness during the quietest part of the night prayer. These experiences, while personal and subjective, are deeply respected within Islamic tradition because they align with the understanding that animals may perceive what humans do not. The Qur'an reminds us again and again that humans are limited in knowledge, that there are veils before their eyes and barriers before their understanding. But animals created by the same divine hand often live with a sense of awareness that humans have forgotten. They move instinctively, sense danger before it arrives, and respond to energies with purity, untainted by ego, thought, or desire. A cat, in its raw simplicity, may therefore serve as a spiritual sensor, alert not to what is obvious, but to what is subtle, quiet, and real. This idea is not isolated to Islam alone. Across cultures, cats have always been seen as gatekeepers of the mystical. From ancient Egypt to Eastern traditions, they have been regarded as protectors against evil spirits and symbols of spiritual power. But what sets Islam apart is not just folklore, it is the prophetic example. The Prophet Muhammad allowed cats to enter mosques, permitted them near sacred spaces, and honored them without suspicion. He didn't view their mysterious behavior with fear, but with acceptance. His kindness toward them affirmed their dignity, their purity, and perhaps their spiritual sensitivity. The fact that cats were allowed in places where humans purified themselves, recited Qur'an, and stood in the presence of their Lord speaks volumes. These were not merely tolerated creatures, they were compatible with sacred space. Some traditions even suggest that cats avoid places where jinn are present or show discomfort when negative energies linger. They gravitate toward peaceful rooms, calm hearts, and gentle people. A cat's trust in a person is not easily earned, and when it is given, it is often taken as a quiet testimony of that person's inner state. If a cat curls beside you during Quranic recitation or rubs against you as you make dhikr, it is not just affection, it may be resonance, a moment where your heart and the natural purity of this creature align. That is why many households consider cats not just as pets, but as silent blessings. Their presence calms the restless, their stillness invites reflection, and their independence teaches a lesson. One can be close, loving, and loyal without losing one's sense of self. Through their behavior, cats offer subtle reminders. They teach humans about awareness, about the need to be attuned not just to what is visible, but also to what is felt. They navigate the world with a sensitivity that is both beautiful and humbling. In their company, one is reminded that there is more to existence than meets the eye, and that the spiritual world is not a faraway place. It may be as close as the flick of a tail or the blink of a feline eye. Islam doesn't draw a line between belief and action. It teaches that faith is made real through how we treat others, not just people, but all of creation. The Prophet Muhammad was the living embodiment of mercy, and nowhere is that more evident than in his treatment of animals. With cats, his compassion was deeply personal, but beyond that, it was transformative. He didn't just care for them in private, he used their stories to teach powerful lessons to the entire Ummah. One such lesson is preserved in a well-known Hadith about a woman who was punished in the hereafter for imprisoning a cat. She neither fed it nor let it go to find food, and the cat died under her care. For this, she was condemned. This narration shocks many. How could such a severe punishment result from the mistreatment of a single animal? But the answer lies in the essence of Islamic ethics. Life, no matter how small, is sacred. To neglect the responsibility of kindness, especially when a creature is fully dependent on you, is to betray the trust of God Himself. That cat's suffering was not just physical, it was a sign of human failure to show mercy. In contrast, another narration tells of a sinful woman who was forgiven by Allah because she gave water to a thirsty cat. Her entire past was washed clean by a single act of compassion. This is the core of Islamic spirituality. Your fate can change with one sincere act, one heartfelt moment of kindness. And when that act is toward an animal, it shows a depth of mercy that is closer to the divine attribute of Rahmah. These stories are not random. They're deliberately chosen to teach that how we treat the weakest among us reveals the strength of our faith. Cats, with their quiet presence and independence, become natural recipients of this mercy. They don't ask for much, they don't demand affection, but they remember kindness, and they return it in their own quiet way. Feeding a cat, giving it water, sheltering it from the cold, all of these are seen in Islam not as favors, but as responsibilities. You are not superior to a creature because you can speak or build cities. You are only superior if you show greater mercy. The Prophet taught his followers to be mindful of the animals in their care. He advised against overburdening them, warned against cruelty, and encouraged a life of coexistence, not domination. When he saw a donkey branded on the face, he condemned it. When he witnessed overworked camels, he intervened. These weren't grand proclamations, they were daily habits that taught a lifestyle of compassion. This philosophy extends to cats in a unique way. Their nature mirrors much of what Islam teaches: cleanliness, independence, gentleness, and dignity. They don't tolerate mistreatment, and they don't forget kindness. They are creatures of balance, never too needy, never too detached. Their trust must be earned, and when it is one of the most sincere forms of connection. A home that provides for a cat is, in Islamic tradition, a home of mercy. Stray cats are not a nuisance. They are an opportunity for reward. Feeding them is not wasteful. It is worship. Giving them shelter is not excessive. It is honorable. In many Muslim societies, cats are fed in mosques, cared for in public spaces, and protected by law. This is not a modern invention. It is the continuation of a prophetic legacy that taught the world. To love a cat is to honor a creature that the Prophet, peace be upon him, himself held dear. And in doing so, we draw closer to the divine, one act of mercy at a time. Cats have always moved with a kind of grace that borders on the miraculous. Their agility, balance, and silence in motion make them seem as if they're gliding through space rather than walking. But what appears to be elegance is actually a masterpiece of divine engineering. Science now helps us uncover just how remarkable these creatures are. A cat's spine is uniquely flexible, allowing it to twist and realign mid-air when falling. This is what gives cats their famous ability to land on their feet, known as the righting reflex. It's not a myth or a trick. It's a built-in survival mechanism that develops when they're only weeks old. Their bodies are designed for motion. Lightweight bones, powerful muscles, and compact bodies that can leap up to 6 times their own length. But that's only the beginning of what makes them so extraordinary. Their senses are where the mystery deepens. A cat's vision, especially at night, is a marvel. Their eyes can detect the smallest flicker of movement in near-total darkness. They owe this to a layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which reflects light and enhances their ability to see in dim environments. Their hearing is equally astonishing, capable of detecting ultrasonic frequencies up to 64,000 hertz, far beyond the human range. This allows them to hear the tiny squeaks of rodents and the subtle sounds of the world that most of us never notice. Their whiskers, too, are not just for show. These sensitive hairs pick up minute changes in air currents and vibrations, helping them navigate spaces even when visibility is low. It's as though they have a built-in map of the environment, constantly updating in real time. All of this combines to make the cat one of the most efficient, aware, and adaptive creatures in creation. But the science doesn't stop at survival and movement. Cats have a strange and beautiful relationship with healing. One of their most unique traits is purring, a rhythmic vibration that is not only comforting to humans, but deeply therapeutic. Studies have found that a cat's purr ranges between 25 and 150 hertz, frequencies known to promote healing in bones and tissues. It's believed that cats purr when they're happy, yes, but also when they're stressed, injured, or in pain. This has led scientists to suggest that purring might be a self-healing mechanism, a built-in form of therapy, and the benefits extend to humans too. Petting a cat and listening to it purr can reduce blood pressure, ease anxiety, and create a calming effect that even modern medicine finds difficult to replicate. These aren't just soothing habits, they're moments of biological harmony between human and animal, where healing flows both ways. Even emotionally, cats are far more complex than they are given credit for. They may not show affection with wild excitement like some animals, but their emotional intelligence is finely tuned. Cats form deep bonds with their caregivers, recognize their voices, and often respond to emotional states. They curl beside us when we're sad. They become more attentive when we're sick or stressed. Their companionship is subtle but deeply meaningful. It's not based on demand or dependence, but on mutual trust. And that trust, once established, becomes a source of comfort that is hard to replace. Cats teach humans a valuable lesson. That connection doesn't always need words. That presence can be more powerful than speech. Their silence speaks volumes. Their gaze is full of knowing. And their loyalty, though quiet, is unwavering. Across human history, few animals have held the kind of symbolic weight that cats have. From ancient temples to bustling marketplaces, from royal courts to humble homes, cats have walked beside humans as more than just animals. They have been symbols of mystery, protection, and blessing. In ancient Egypt, cats were revered almost to the point of worship. The goddess Bastet was depicted as a feline, embodying home, fertility, and divine protection. To harm a cat in those times was not just a crime, it was a sacrilege. Egyptians mourned their cats as family, sometimes even shaving their eyebrows as a sign of grief. They were mummified and buried with honor, believed to accompany their owners into the afterlife. In Islamic civilization, the reverence for cats took a different but equally profound shape. The love and respect shown by the Prophet Muhammad laid a foundation that shaped generations. In Muslim societies, cats were allowed to wander freely, even in mosques, the most sacred spaces in Islam. This was not casual behavior, it was rooted in theology. Cats were seen as ritually clean, deserving of freedom and kindness. Scholars, jurists, and poets alike kept cats in their homes, fed them in courtyards, and wrote about them with affection. Libraries would often keep cats not just for pest control, but for their calming presence. Their proximity to books and sacred knowledge was seen not as a disruption, but as a quiet form of harmony. Meanwhile, in medieval Europe, the perception of cats took a darker turn. Associated with witchcraft and superstition, especially black cats, they were targeted in waves of fear and ignorance. Many were killed, and with their absence came unintended consequences, most notably the rapid spread of the Black Plague as rat populations grew unchecked. It was a tragic irony that in trying to rid themselves of evil, people removed one of their best natural protectors. In Asia, particularly in Japan and China, cats maintained their positive symbolism. The maneki neko, the beckoning cat figurine, became a widely recognized symbol of good fortune. Its raised paw, welcoming luck and prosperity, is seen in homes and businesses alike. These traditions are echoes of a deeper, universal truth. People instinctively sense that cats bring more than just company. They bring calm, balance, and a quiet sense of well-being. Their place in literature and art further highlights their influence. In poetry, paintings, and even children's tales, cats are often portrayed as mysterious, wise, and even magical. In the Islamic world, they are symbols of serenity and cleanliness, appearing in classical texts as creatures beloved by saints and scholars. In modern times, cats continue to enchant. They fill homes and hearts. They inspire internet culture, bring joy to millions, and still roam the alleyways of ancient cities just as they did centuries ago. Their role has never faded. It has simply adapted. What remains unchanged is their ability to captivate the human spirit. But perhaps the most beautiful part of a cat story is not what it symbolizes, but what it gives. A cat does not force its affection. It does not beg for attention. It chooses. And when a cat chooses you, it is a quiet affirmation that speaks louder than any words. That trust is a gift. And in many cultures, especially in Islam, it is also a sign that your home has been blessed, that mercy lives within your walls, and that something sacred walks beside you on soft, silent paws. The bond between humans and cats is not forged through ownership. It is built through companionship. Unlike many animals that crave social hierarchies or look for leaders, cats exist on their own terms. They come close not because they need you, but because they choose to be near you, and in that choice lies the beauty of their love. A cat will sit by your side during moments of joy and moments of pain. It will find you in silence, curl up near your heart and listen, not because it's trained to, but because it feels your energy and responds to it. This bond is quiet, but deeply spiritual. It's the kind of relationship that doesn't require language, only presence. There is a profound sense of comfort that settles in a home where a cat lives. Their presence is often associated with tranquility. Their habits, grooming, sleeping in sunlight, walking silently through rooms, bring rhythm and calm to the day. Their independence reminds us to respect space. Their loyalty teaches us to cherish trust. And their soft, steady purr offers healing that no medicine can replicate. It is in their silence that many people find peace. In their watchful stillness, some find companionship deeper than any conversation. In Islamic tradition, this companionship is not only permitted, it is celebrated. The Prophet Muhammad showed that animals are not beneath us, but alongside us in the journey of life. His interactions with cats were marked by gentleness and honor, setting an example for how to treat all of God's creation. Muslims who keep cats do so not just for comfort or beauty, but because it is a way to live the prophetic legacy of mercy. A cat in the home is not just a pet, it is a blessing. It reminds us to slow down, to be mindful, to extend compassion even when there is no reward expected. It teaches us that trust must be earned, and once it is given, it must be cherished. This relationship, built on mutual respect rather than dominance, is rare in the modern world. It teaches us that love is not always loud, that presence doesn't always need to be announced, that some of the most sacred connections are quiet, consistent, and rooted in peace. A cat may never say a word, but in its behavior it will teach you everything you need to know about patience, balance, and love that asks for nothing but returns everything. In a world that rushes and demands, a cat slows us down and reminds us of what truly matters. Their gift is not just their beauty, their agility, or even their mystical nature. It is their ability to be fully present. And in that presence, they invite us to become more present too, to our surroundings, to our feelings, to each other, and ultimately to the one who created all. Cats, in their quiet way, guide us back to that sacred stillness where peace lives, where hearts soften, and where the soul finds rest.